great team.
Yeah.
Our ethos playing for the Australian cricket team was we're all mates.
Yeah.
And we were just like mates going on tour. As I'm on the ground in immense pain, and I said, don't even worry about scanning it. I know it's buggered. I'm out of the World Cup. Oh no. And it sunk in, I'm out of the World Cup.
You made your debut in 1999
Yep.
against India, but even before that, you played a couple of games. I think one was for New South Wales and one for the Ministers 11.
Yep.
And you got, what, 11 wickets in that game? You already frightened them before you met them in a test game?
I think so, yeah. I remember I played him for the Blues and then I played him for the Prime Minister's 11. But I remember playing against, I nicked off Sachin Tendulkar in Canberra about 2 months before, or about a month before we played him in the test match. And I was thinking, I've just nicked off Sachin Tendulkar. My life's complete. I've done it. I'm happy. I'm done. And then I thought, wouldn't mind getting him in a test match.
Yeah.
So that, you take one wicket and then you think, I wouldn't mind getting another one. But that was an amazing summer. I mean, to me, looking back, that was, what, 24 years ago.
21?
I was just turned 23, actually.
23?
Yeah. Yeah, Boxing Day 99.
Yeah.
Just turned 23. And I just think back, it seems so long ago, but then only yesterday that I got given the baggy green cap and, I had achieved my dream, was to get that baggy green cap.
Yeah, what was it like leading up to that moment? So, 16 was your first big injury.
Yeah.
And then what was the journey like between 17 and, say, 23?
The journey was just like trying to sort of give myself the best opportunity of doing that. And meanwhile, I was working full-time as well.
Oh, really? As what?
Yeah, so when I was 17, I got picked in the under-19s Australian side.
Okay.
Just 16, almost 17 I was doing my HSC.
Okay.
To play here in India.
Okay.
So 1994 was my first trip to India.
Okay.
Nearly 30 years ago. And I had to travel to Sydney to get measured up for our Australian team blazer.
Okay.
So the gentleman in Sydney, I got these details, went into his store, a place called Barclays Menswear, went to the store, and he'd take all the measurements, and then they'd send the measurements down to Melbourne. They'd make the jacket or the blazer in Melbourne, and then send it back up, and I'd come and try it on. Long story short, I went in, met him, he seemed like a nice fella, and then he called me 2 weeks later and said, have you ever thought about a job in menswear? I went, well, I like menswear, but I don't know what to do. He goes, why don't you come in Monday and we'll have a chat? So I went in there on Monday and I've been aligned to him ever since.
Wow, okay.
And even I spoke to him 2 nights ago and we've become really good friends out of it. I worked throughout my whole career in that menswear store. So I finished playing the World Cup final, 2003.
Okay.
Next day I come home, I'm in work serving and trying suits on people.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Loved it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I've always believed that, well, firstly, if someone looks after you, you should always look after them.
Yeah.
But it gave me a great outlet away from sport.
Yeah.
So
you've had a few, actually. You have a few outlets away from sport.
Yeah, and that was important. So when I was in the Sheffield Shield squad, I said I can work Monday to Friday. I can't work on the weekends.
Yeah.
And Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30, I have to leave to go Sheffield Shield training.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's fine, I'll support that. Whenever you need to go on a trip, I'll support that. So what it did, I noticed that before working, I was so focused on the weekend to get wickets. I get to Saturday morning and my mind was mentally cluttered. I was like, I'd played the game 1,000 times. When I started working, I was in there having fun, learning about how to run a business, learning about different invoices and just upskilling myself in different areas. And then when I went out and took the suit off and the tie off and I get my cricket gear on, I'm like, oh, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
And my cricket went like that the day I started working. So I kept doing it, even whilst I was playing for Australia.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, who'd even think of this?
It was funny because there's this big South African guy and he came in for a suit.
Yeah.
And he's like, how's it, bro? And he goes, weren't you in Johannesburg last night? I went, yeah. I said, you're about 112 regular.
Yeah.
What are you after? 3-button single-breasted with a notch lapel? So to me, it was like a batsman walking in through the picket fence.
And you knew what to do.
I see the customer walk in, I treat him like a batsman, you know?
Yeah.
Try and take his wicket or try to swap his credit card. I loved it. It was a challenge.
Oh, that's amazing. What a great story. But coming back to the cricket a little bit, the change of action, that must have been hard after the broken back.
Yeah, it was. I've always said, and one thing I've found out about fast bowling, you can't change. It's almost impossible. When I say you can't, you can change anything. You can do anything, right? But
Yeah.
it's 99.9% impossible, in my opinion, to change the bottom half of your action.
Right.
So if you land with your back foot parallel to the crease, you're a side-on bowler. You know, I was sort of 45 between the popping crease and the return crease, or you got, you know, your toes pointing towards the stumps, being in front on action.
Yeah.
So what you got given at the bottom, that's the base.
It dictates how...
You can change
Yeah.
the top part.
Yeah.
But as long as your shoulders and your hips are facing the same direction in one line, that's going to look after your back. What I was doing, having a 45 base, so facing out towards mid-wicket when I'm bowling
Yeah.
with a right-handed batsman, and then being told to look in that, you know, that little window.
Yeah.
Worst thing you can do because you
'Cause
fall
you're-
away.
like you're
So I was
going-
trying to get
you're doing
side
that.
on with my top half, not
Yeah.
knowing about actions.
Yeah.
So I had a mixed action and
The worst.
counter rotation, hyperextension, or twisting and
Balaji
turning.
was the same.
All that stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So once I matched the top half of the house to the bottom half of the house, I was fine.
You were fine.
Yep.
But you still had a lot of injuries, though, throughout your career.
Yeah, I had. Well, my parents said don't play football because you might get injured.
Yeah.
Good idea. About 10 operations later.
Yeah. Well, what did they say 10
Well, you know
operations
when
later?
you go to the physio or the chiropractor and they say shade in the area on the skeleton where you're injured, where you're sore,
Yeah.
and I would shave everything just except for my eyes because I was sore everywhere. But 2 muscle tears as a fast bowler my whole career, which I thought was amazing.
Amazing.
You know,
Which is
the fact-
incredible, I think.
Yeah, like I had 1 calf and I did my side during the Ashes. That was it. The rest was all structural because when bowlers land on their front foot and they slam
you
their
just
front
put
foot,
so much through
it's
it.
2 times their body weight.
weight.
I was 16 times my body weight.
What?
Yeah, on the pressure pad. Because I'd slam my foot down, have a brace front leg,
My word.
and that's why I've had 5 ankle ops on the left and 1 on the right.
Whew.
It's all good. I can still run.
Yeah, you can still run, and he can still bowl as well. I just played him in the Legends League, so he can still bowl as well. And he's gotten fitter.
He can still smack me.
Your jersey number, 58.
Yep.
So what's the story behind that?
My lucky number's 8. I
Okay.
was born on the 8th. I lived at number 8. That was the house number that I lived in.
Okay.
I always say at one stage of my life I turned 8. So 8 was my lucky number. And then when I was going into the New South Wales cricket team, 8 was taken, and also 5 was taken. So I combined the both because I love 5. I love 5 and 8. So I went, well, I can't have 8, it's already taken. Can't have 5, it's already taken. So I combined the 2, 58.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Simple.
Yeah. I started off I think I was number 18 or something for New South Wales, and then thought, I like 5 and 8, so combine the 2.
Okay.
And then it's funny how that becomes your number. And you know, obviously with playing for India, that you almost become part of that number. But yeah, that plays a big part of my life, that number.
Ever want to shift back to 8 when say you're playing
Nah.
the IPL or the BBL? No.
It's always been 58, yeah.
You saw the 2 captains,
Yeah.
Stephen Waugh and Ricky Ponting.
Mm-hmm.
And like from the outside, we feel like we see there's a difference, but you've been on the inside.
Yep.
Yep. So how different are they?
Totally different.
Yep.
You've got Steve Waugh. His philosophy was to use me a lot differently. So I was used as a shock bowler,
Yeah.
which was exactly what he was trying to do. Like, bring me on, he said, I don't care if you go for 40 runs or 4 overs.
Okay.
If you get us a wicket, get us a breakthrough, that's going to set us up to crack open that middle order.
Yeah.
So I was used, and then, you know, you get the wicket and the captain's happy, the coach is happy.
Yeah.
But when you look up at your figures on the board, or the next time that the selection came around, they're going through the numbers.
Yeah.
It didn't probably read as pretty as what it should, because, you know, if I got 1 for 40 or 6 overs,
Yeah.
you know, they go, oh, why is his economy so high? But in in context, I was doing the job I was asked to do.
You were asked to do, sure.
But yeah, I mean, he was great to play for. Obviously, someone that I looked up to under Steve Waugh. It would have been Ricky Ponting that got the best out of me, and I probably got the best out of myself under his guidance.
Sure.
And I think the reason why was because he understood my game, I reckon, more than Steve.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed playing under both, but certainly enjoyed playing under Punter.
Okay.
Great man manager. You know, the type of guy that would have the hard conversation to you.
Sure.
Very transparent. Say, look, you're not playing tomorrow because of this, this, this. If you do this, get back in the side, work hard on your fitness, work hard on get your ankles right, whatever it might be. But publicly, would support me big time. He'd never say anything bad about his players publicly.
Yeah.
Have the hard conversation with you face to face, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But support you publicly. Whereas I've played under other captains that, you know, they'd probably say one thing to the public and one thing to you, which I don't necessarily always agree with.
Sure. Did Ricky spend a lot of time with you individually, one-on-one? As in, he obviously had conversations with you and these hard conversations, like you mentioned.
I think the thing I've learned about captains is that you have to understand the personality of the player. So if you're my captain or I was your captain, I would want to know about you as a person.
Yeah.
You know, what makes you tick, what makes you frustrated, because everyone gets frustrated, everyone gets happy or have tough times. How you deal with it. So, you know, we did this multiple choice questionnaire and we found out what type of personality we were, where we fitted in these 4 quadrants.
Okay.
And me, I was, you know, judged as a person that acts quickly, like a bit of a mozzie, buzzing around, life of the party type of thing. So Ricky knew how to deal with me. So if there was a time when, you know, he wasn't the best out of me on the field, he knew how to get the best out of me by cracking a joke or saying something or give me that hug around, you know, my shoulder when I needed it most. Or so he knew his players, and that was the best thing, for, you know, for me as definitely as a player.
Yeah, and coming up as a youngster, you were bowling along the likes of McGrath, Shane Warne, Jason Gillespie. What was that for you as a 23-year-old?
Oh, it was brilliant. You know, I go into the Australian dressing room for the first time.
Yeah.
McGrath's on my left, Gilly's on my right. And I still remember before we even go out the bowl, before my first test match, I'm sitting here and I'm, you know, I've met most of the guys before, but not all of them. And McGrath's talking to me and he's like really engaged and he's like this, he's leaning forward, he's talking to me. I'm thinking, and I'm like listening to every single word. He was distracting me so Gilly could tie my shoelace together. So when I hopped up, I almost fell over. I could have been injured before my first test. But it was that initiation to say welcome type of thing. It was a really good experience. You know, it was a lovely experience playing for your country and playing with those legends. Yeah. But daunting as well, because as you mentioned, Gillespie had been there since 95 or 96. Yeah. McGrath established himself and was a quality bowler, even at that early part of his career. And Warney, who, you know, I watched in the early 90s with the bleached blonde hair and the Nike earring and everything, right? And I just thought, this is amazing. Yeah. And here I am. Do I actually belong in this team? You know, I was hoping I was. I was hoping that I was good enough to be in the team. But I thought, you know, I'm with these superstars. This is weird. Yeah. 'Cause I'm just a guy from Mount Warrigal. Yeah. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah. Now, I can relate to that. But as in when you actually came into the side, you had raw pace, and there was a you weren't too erratic, but there was a sense of that was there in your bowling. But that refined very quickly.
I was erratic at the start. Yeah.
Yeah, and then refined very quickly over time. Who kind of played an impact on that, or did you work on it by yourself with Dennis?
I think playing that higher level. Yeah. Raw pace doesn't always. It does sometimes, but it doesn't always get wickets. So it works in maybe at a shield level, definitely at first grade level, because you scare the tripe out of them. Yeah. But when you're playing against guys like, you know, you and Sachin and Lakshman and Brian Lara and Jack Callis and all that, like, pace is still very important, but there are guys that love to play the pull shot that aren't scared. Yeah. You're like, okay, well, I need to be a bit more stringent here. I need to work on other skills. Yeah. It's not just short or Yorker. You know, how to work on hitting a length. But bowling next to Glenn, he I guess, without even trying to, educated me because I was watching him at the other end. Yeah. I thought, okay, that's how he gets his wickets. He's patient.
just 2 or 3 years, 4 years into your career, I think was one of the best years of your life, where you won the World Cup as well.
I can't remember who we played in the final.
We can.
Sorry, mate.
We remember.
That was a great year. That was a great era.
Yeah, it was.
And for me, that was probably where I felt almost, I've been in the team long enough to feel like I warranted my place. I actually deserved to be there. I actually belonged in that team without being confident or cocky. I knew my body, you know, because I was 3 or 4 years into it. 27, 28, whatever it was, where your body's naturally used to now bowling fast. Probably the fittest I've ever been. I was working so hard on my training, working really hard on my sprinting. And it was a great time of my life. You know, we're touring the world as a single person and had not a care in the world. It was...
And you were a world beater, so it
was amazing.
Must have been
and it was
super
just
high.
And we had a great team. Our ethos playing for the Australian cricket team was we're all mates. And we were just like mates going on tour. Playing a bit of cricket.
That must have been fun.
It was fun, mate.
Skip to the next World Cup in 2007. You missed it. That must have been devastating.
Yeah, we were training in Auckland, I think it was. And we were meant to leave the following week to go over to the West Indies. And I remember saying to our coach at that stage, I'm not keen to field today. It's a bit greasy, it's a bit wet. Been a bit of raining, morning rain. Been raining the whole sort of course of the morning, and we end up getting on. I'm like, you know when your brain tells you, like, something's not right?
Your gut.
My gut told me. And I should have listened to my gut. And they're like, no, you'll be fine, you'll be good. And as I went to pick up a ball and sort of slide in to pick the ball up, I slid, and I heard my ankle go crack. And I did two and a half of the 3 ligaments in the front of the ankles, called a syndesmosis. I mean, to me, when he said that, it sounded like an Indian dish. I was like, this is going to taste all right. So this syndesmosis I've never heard of, and I pretty much buggered my ankle, and that was big rehab. That was in a boot, everything. And then as I'm on the ground in immense pain, and I said, don't even worry about scanning it. I know it's buggered. I know I'm out. I'm out of the World Cup. Oh no. And it sunk in, I'm out of the World Cup.
Ouch.
I'm training 4 years to get to that that state, and it's like, devastated. Like,
how did you deal with that?
I had this ability that every time I came back after injury to trick my brain and tell my brain I'm coming off a 5-wicket haul.
Really?
Yep. Got 5 for 3 days ago, feeling great. Your body's going, nah, the ankle's sore. Brain's going, nah, feeling really good. So the hardest competitor was against me. Getting out of bed in the morning. It was kill to get out of bed. And that's the thing for the young boys and girls who want to be the fast bowlers. I think it's the hardest job in the game physically because
100%.
you know, we're travelling, we're covering about 17 kilometres a day. Pressure goes through your ankles, your knees, your back, your glutes. You know, losing up to 5 litres of fluid a day. But I wouldn't change it any other way. It's good pain for hard work. In my opinion, I believe the greatest batsman in the world is Sachin Tendulkar, in my opinion. The greatest cricketer is...